Beneath the ocean's surface, where light vanishes and logic begins to bend, strange things stir. A sound echoes endlessly through the Mariana Trench, as if the sea itself is remembering something. Elsewhere, a river flows inside the ocean, refusing to mix. Shapes that look like spacecraft lie half buried in silence, while something deeper swallows not metal or men, but sound itself. Creatures that eat only bones appear without warning. Spirals of light drift like signals no one admits sending. And in the cold, remote dark, a pale figure moves the way no fish ever should. These aren't just anomalies. They're warnings we don't yet understand. Hit like and subscribe for more mysteries from the deep, and tell us which one would you dare to investigate. Have you ever heard a sound unlike anything else on Earth? Not the call of a creature, not a machine's hum, and not any natural noise. In 2014, a team of scientists from NOAA accidentally recorded a strange series of sounds coming from nearly 1,000 meters below the ocean's surface, right at what is considered the deepest, darkest place on the planet, the Mariana Trench. The sound wasn't just bizarre, it repeated. It echoed like a whisper trapped in an underwater void, mysterious, low, and rhythmic. They called it echo loop. But the strangest part isn't where the sound came from, it's that no one on Earth knows what caused it. It wasn't seismic waves. It wasn't a whale. It didn't match any known sonar signal. And since then, despite hundreds of satellites, advanced deep-sea sensors, and decades of scientific experience, we still cannot explain its origin. This isn't just a sound. It's a reminder that our planet still holds countless secrets, even in places we thought we already understood. Where do you think the echo loop truly comes from? Could it be just a strange geological phenomenon? Or perhaps a signal from an undiscovered deep-sea creature? Or is it possible that this is a trace of some unknown intelligence beneath the ocean floor? Share your theory in the comments below. We're excited to read your boldest and most creative ideas. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to uncover a clue to one of the greatest ocean mysteries of our time. Among the countless sounds that echo from the depths of the ocean each day, from coral cracking, whales singing, to the rumble of submarines or tectonic activity, most can be analyzed, categorized, and explained using modern scientific tools. However, echo loop stands as a truly unique exception. First recorded by NOAA in 2014 in the Mariana Trench, echo loop is a strange audio signal lasting only about 3.5 seconds. Yet, it has left scientists around the world deeply puzzled because no one knows where it comes from, or even what it comes from. Echo loop begins with a soft, steady low tone, then suddenly shifts into a series of repeating audio pulses, so regular that listeners feel as though it was deliberately programmed. Though not loud, it has a strangely structured rhythm, not chaotic, not random, but oddly orderly, as if generated by a system with a specific purpose. This led many researchers to initially suspect that it might be a distorted sonar signal, perhaps emitted by a man-made device such as a submarine. Yet after reviewing all global databases of both civilian and military sonar, no known signal matched the characteristics of echo loop. It lacks any signature of electronic origin, shows no thermal trace, and is not accompanied by geological events like earthquakes or volcanic activity. This doesn't fit any known category. Nature makes echo loop one of the rarest anomalies in modern oceanic acoustics. In an era where nearly every vibration from a buzzing bee to radar pulses can be deciphered by science and technology, The existence of a sound that cannot be traced back to any origin is extremely rare, even unsettling. It raises not only questions about the nature of echo loop itself, but forces us to reconsider the limits we thought we had surpassed. Perhaps we still understand far less than we believe about the ocean and what lies hidden beneath it. Echo loop did not emerge from an ordinary place. It was recorded in the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth, where light cannot reach and pressure exceeds 1,000 times that of the atmosphere. Temperatures here hover just above freezing, and the environment is completely devoid of oxygen, sunlight, and surface energy. At such an extreme and almost otherworldly depth, the familiar laws of physics and biology begin to distort. Sound, something usually absorbed or warped under high pressure, can travel, reflect, and transform in ways that have never been fully simulated. For that reason, any sound emitted from these depths, especially a structured, repeating sequence like echo loop, immediately draws the attention and caution of researchers. Some theories propose that it might be the result of rare movements between tectonic plates, but at the time of its recording, no seismic activity, magma flow, or seabed deformation was detected. This makes echo loop mysterious, not just because of its sound, but also because of where it originated, a silent zone science has yet to fully comprehend. One of the most intriguing theories surrounding the echo loop suggests that the sound may be a form of communication from an undiscovered deep-sea creature. Just as whales, dolphins, and giant squid use acoustic signals to navigate and interact, it's possible that a life form in the deep ocean possesses an entirely different sound-producing mechanism, one that science has never encountered before. However, when echo loop is compared to known animal sounds, researchers note striking differences. It lacks the continuous low hum of whales, the clicking rhythm of dolphins, and the swirling pulses of squid. Instead, echo loop carries a distinct acoustic structure, almost like it has syntax, as if it were a strange language no one has ever heard before. Pushing further, some bold researchers have proposed that echo loop could be a signal from an undiscovered form of intelligence dwelling in the depths, not a lone organism, but perhaps an entire community hidden in the darkness. This sound might be a communication signal, a warning, or even a kind of greeting, intentionally broadcast, yet not directed at humans. However, current science lacks the tools or reference framework to decode it, leaving all such ideas in the realm of speculation. The more we try to understand it, the more echo loop resembles a language from an alien world, one we have no means to translate. What's even stranger is that echo loop doesn't appear frequently and follows no regular cycle. It never repeats at the same coordinates, making it nearly impossible to track or verify. Every time echo loop is detected, humanity is forced to confront the limits of its understanding. In an era where artificial intelligence can process billions of audio samples per second, and satellites can scan the entire planet in hours, a single 3.5-second sound from the ocean floor can still leave the global scientific community bewildered. This reminds us that the ocean is still Earth's last great unknown, and echo loop stands as a symbol of the mysteries we've yet to unlock. It has been more than 10 years since echo loop was first recorded, and no official explanation has ever been confirmed. It might be an extremely rare natural phenomenon, a biological signal from an undiscovered species, or even a message from a form of intelligence beyond human comprehension. Whatever the truth may be, echo loop continues to remind us that science does not always have the answers. And that humility before nature is essential if we are ever to understand the planet we call home. You're looking at the ocean vast, endless, unbroken. But then, something strange appears. A long, muddy ribbon snakes across the blue surface, carving a path through the sea as if it doesn't belong there. It's not a current. It's not pollution. It's a river still flowing, still moving, cutting straight through the ocean. This is no illusion. It's one of the most surreal and visually stunning phenomena in nature. The river that cuts the sea. A moment where fresh water refuses to vanish. Where a river, born on land, enters the sea not to disappear but to defy, to hold its shape, its color, its identity, as it slices through salt water like a memory refusing to fade. This is not just a quirk of water physics. It's a living symbol of boundaries, of persistence, of contrast so striking it can be seen from space. What do you see in this image of a river cutting through the sea? Is it just a scientific phenomenon to you, or something more symbolic about identity, resistance, or survival? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you interpret this moment when fresh water defies the ocean. At first glance, it seems impossible. How could a body of fresh water, light and unpressurized, hold its form against the sheer mass of the ocean? And yet, this phenomenon is not a myth. It is real, measurable, and observable from above, from satellite images, drone footage, or the deck of a passing vessel. The river is there, plain as day, cutting through blue with brown, with colors and currents so distinct that even the untrained eye would recognize something extraordinary is at play. The phenomenon of a river cutting through the sea is not only visually striking, but also the result of complex physical and chemical principles. When river water, which has a lower density, flows into the ocean, it tends to stay afloat on the denser salt water. This contrast becomes even more pronounced when the river carries a high sediment load mud, fine soil, and organic matter that give the water a murky brown color. Meanwhile, seawater is typically clear blue or emerald, creating a sharp visual contrast. Temperature differences between the two water masses can also contribute to a temporarily stable boundary. As a result, the fresh water forms a liquid road on the sea's surface, both gentle and persistent, stretching for dozens of kilometers without immediately dissolving. It is a stunning demonstration of how nature often separates what we assume must blend together. The Amazon River is the most powerful example of the river that cuts the sea phenomenon. As it empties into the Atlantic Ocean, its fresh water doesn't immediately blend in, but instead forms a massive brown streak stretching over 100 kilometers across the ocean's surface. This is not an illusion, but the result of a dynamic clash between two contrasting water systems, with one of the highest discharge volumes on Earth, rapid flow, and a heavy load of sediment. The Amazon maintains a distinct freshwater path for a remarkably long distance. Surrounded by saltwater on all sides, the river continues forward, holding its brown hue like a flowing trail etched across the sea, vivid, forceful, and not easily erased. Beyond the Amazon, the river that cuts the sea phenomenon is also vividly seen at the mouth of the Mississippi River, where reddish-brown, sediment-rich freshwater pours into the Gulf of Mexico. This flow seems to tear through the tropical blue ocean, creating a striking and almost overwhelming contrast. In Vietnam, the Mekong River occasionally produces a similar effect, especially during flood season, when the current is strong and sediment is abundant. the murky fresh water rushes into the South China Sea, forming a long brown streak like a living brushstroke across the surface, vividly showcasing the power of land confronting the sea, and leaving an unmistakable mark amid the vast waves. To see such an event is to witness a living metaphor. The river, born of rain and mountain snowmelt, carries with it the memory of land nutrients, minerals, even stories carved into the sediment from upstream forests and farms. It reaches the ocean not as a surrender, but as a final act of expression, before it becomes one with the sea. It marks its presence boldly, temporarily, unmistakably. It is as if nature is offering a reminder even the smallest thing can leave a lasting mark when it moves with purpose. From a scientific perspective, the boundary where river water meets seawater is called a halocline, a unique transitional layer between two bodies of water with different salinity levels. However, the halocline is not a fixed line. It constantly shifts, stirred by wind, tides, and even the Coriolis effect caused by Earth's rotation. This is a data-rich zone that oceanographers and environmental scientists pay close attention to, as it influences many vital processes in coastal ecosystems. From the growth of plankton and migration patterns of fish to the spread of pollution and the rate of coastal erosion, everything is directly affected by this fragile yet powerful boundary. Moreover, these freshwater plumes influence ocean stratification, creating distinct temperature layers that can impact weather and marine biology. In some cases, the freshwater can form lenses or surface currents that alter local currents or inhibit the mixing of nutrients from deeper ocean layers. This can have ripple effects on everything from local fisheries to larger climatic systems. But beyond the science, the phenomenon is deeply poetic. There is something profoundly moving about watching a river refuse to dissolve, holding its shape, its color, its momentum, even in the face of something as vast and overwhelming as the sea. It's a moment of defiance, of identity preserved in the midst of surrender. We often imagine rivers as losing themselves at the ocean's edge. But here, we see instead a narrative of persistence. In drone footage, the effect is mesmerizing. You can watch the brown waters twist and coil into the blue, like ink spilled onto silk. The lines are not static, they curl. They snake. They sometimes vanish and then reappear again, depending on the tides and winds. But for minutes or hours, sometimes even days, the river holds its form. From above, it looks like a scar on the sea, a vivid reminder that this water has come from somewhere, carrying stories, life, and legacy. In the age of satellite monitoring and environmental awareness, these phenomena are not just beautiful, they're crucial. Tracking freshwater plumes helps scientists monitor floods, sediment loss, algal blooms, and even oil spills. It helps model climate systems and track the effects of rising sea levels or melting glaciers. In many cases, changes in these river-sea interactions are early indicators of broader ecological shifts. In cultural terms, rivers have always symbolized journeys, transitions, and the passage of time. To see one cut the sea is to watch that journey reach its climax, not with disappearance, but with declaration. It is a phenomenon that bridges the poetic and the scientific, the visual and the invisible, the literal and the symbolic. So the next time you see a photograph of a brown ribbon slicing through blue ocean, look again. You are not just looking at a curiosity of fluid dynamics. You are witnessing a quiet confrontation, a vivid act of nature that reminds us of the beauty in contrast and the power of persistence. A massive object lies silently beneath the Baltic Sea. No one knows what it is. No one can explain why it's there. And perhaps most unsettling of all, no one can confidently say it even belongs to Earth. Since its first discovery in 2011 by the Ocean X team of divers, this strange formation, now known as the Baltic Sea anomaly, has sent shockwaves through the scientific community, the media, and UFO enthusiasts alike. It doesn't resemble any known natural rock formation. Its shape is nearly perfect, like a classic flying saucer. Electronic equipment reportedly shuts down when approaching it, and surface samples reveal materials that simply do not match natural stone. Could this be the wreckage of an ancient spacecraft? A man-made structure buried for thousands of years? Or perhaps a geological phenomenon so bizarre it defies our current understanding of nature? The mystery remains motionless, cold, and unsolved. So, what do you think about the Baltic Sea anomaly? Is it an ancient man-made structure, a spacecraft that crashed into the ocean, or simply a geological phenomenon unlike anything we've ever seen? What's your theory? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Every perspective matters when it comes to a mystery that's remained unsolved for over a decade. One of the most astonishing features of the Baltic Sea anomaly is its shape, an almost perfectly circular form measuring up to 60 meters in diameter. In nature, it's extremely rare for a rock formation to possess such clear symmetry. Sonar images captured by the diving team reveal an unusually flat surface, sharply defined edges, and long parallel grooves running along the body resembling marks left by some form of mechanical processing. Most notably, there is a long trail extending behind the object, appearing like a skid mark, prompting many to wonder, could this object have landed on the seafloor from above? All these elements make the theory of an ancient spacecraft crashing into the Baltic and lying buried beneath the ocean floor for thousands of years feel far less far-fetched. As the Ocean X diving team approached the mysterious object lying at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, a series of strange and inexplicable phenomena began to unfold. Electronic devices on the vessel, including cameras, navigation systems, and depth gauges started to malfunction, and in some cases, stopped working entirely when nearing the object. Communication channels were disrupted, forcing the research team to abort their mission and return to the surface without collecting any of the planned data. What's particularly alarming is that this wasn't a one-time occurrence. The issue repeated itself on multiple attempts. Despite changes in equipment and revised approach strategies, many now speculate that the object may be emitting a strong electromagnetic field, powerful enough to interfere with modern technology. This has fueled further theories. Could there be an internal power source within the anomaly? Or is it composed of materials that interact intensely with magnetic fields, something extremely rare in nature, especially in the deep ocean? One of the most hotly debated aspects of the Baltic Sea anomaly is the composition of the materials that make it up. In a few rare successful expeditions, the Ocean X team managed to retrieve samples from the surface of the anomaly and sent them to independent laboratories for analysis. The initial results left scientists truly puzzled. The chemical composition and physical structure of the samples did not match the known geological characteristics of the Baltic Sea seabed. Specifically, these samples revealed the presence of rare metals such as manganese, titanium, and lanthanum elements not commonly found in marine rocks in the Baltic region, and certainly not something that could naturally form under normal geological conditions in that environment. Even more intriguing, The samples contained signs of high-temperature ceramic compounds, typically associated with modern industrial manufacturing or aerospace technology, but entirely absent from any known ancient sedimentary rocks. When examined under an electron microscope, the microstructure of the material did not resemble natural erosion or weathering processes. On the contrary, it bore characteristics consistent with extreme heat exposure and recrystallization, as if the object had burned up while entering Earth's atmosphere, or had been manufactured through highly advanced industrial processes. Although there is still no definitive proof that these materials are artificial, even neutral geologists have admitted this structure does not fit with any known tectonic or geological processes. This has led to a wide range of controversial theories. Could this be the remains of an ancient man-made structure, built using advanced materials designed to withstand time and harsh underwater conditions? Or is it an extraterrestrial object, constructed with technologies and substances far beyond what humanity currently understands? Some more cautious voices have suggested it might be a lost military device or secret satellite that crashed and became buried beneath the sea floor, although no historical records support any such incident in this area. Regardless of which explanation proves true, the presence of such unusual material at a depth of 90 meters beneath the surface of the Baltic Sea remains a significant enigma, one that challenges conventional geological thinking and adds yet another layer to the mystery known as the Baltic Sea anomaly. This mysterious object lies at a depth of nearly 90 meters beneath the surface of the Baltic Sea, in a cold, muddy area with extremely limited visibility. Diving conditions in this region are considered extremely harsh, making any detailed exploration or sample collection both difficult and costly. Notably, this area shows no signs of volcanic or tectonic activity, which makes the theory that the anomaly is a natural geological formation even more unlikely. In such an isolated and quiet environment, the presence of an object with such an unusual structure raises a major question that remains unanswered to this day. Some of the sonar images revealed not only the anomaly's unusual circular shape, but also the presence of standing stone pillars, evenly spaced steps, and symmetrical outlines surrounding it, features typically associated with man-made architecture. These striking details have fueled two major theories. The first suggests that the object could be an ancient ceremonial structure submerged long ago, belonging to a lost and undocumented civilization. The second theory proposes that the anomaly is actually a spacecraft that crashed on Earth, abandoned and slowly buried beneath layers of seafloor sediment over thousands of years. More than a decade has passed, and no major scientific institution has undertaken a comprehensive, official investigation of the anomaly. Possible reasons include the technical and financial challenges of exploring the site, a lack of political or economic incentives to pursue such an unusual discovery, or, according to more speculative thinkers, a deliberate effort to avoid uncovering something beyond the boundaries of current science. The Baltic Sea anomaly is not just an oddly shaped rock. Its geometry, structure, electromagnetic interference, and above all, its strange material composition pose a massive question. Is this the remnant of a lost civilization, a fallen UFO, or a glimpse into technologies humankind has yet to comprehend? So far, no one can say for sure, and that's exactly what makes the Baltic Sea anomaly one of the most compelling deep-sea mysteries of the 21st century. Beneath the shimmering waters of the Caribbean lies a place that defies everything we know about sound. You can scream, you can shout, you can fire a sonar pulse deep into the dark, and nothing comes back. No echo, no trace, just silence. An unnatural, devouring silence. They call it the black hole of the Caribbean, not because of gravity, but because it swallows sound. Entire sonar systems fail. Divers report eerie pressure, and the ocean itself goes quiet. Too quiet. This isn't just a mystery, it's a scientific dead zone. A place where sound dies and no one knows why. What do you think is happening here? Is it a rare acoustic anomaly? An undiscovered natural structure? Or could it be something far more mysterious, something we're not meant to understand? Drop your theories in the comments below. We want to hear what you think is lurking inside this pit of silence. The first accounts came from commercial divers working near an uncharted deep pit off the coast of a remote Caribbean island. They reported a strange sensation when approaching the edge of the formation, a sudden, overwhelming silence. In the ocean, true silence is nearly impossible. There are always clicking shrimp, distant boat engines, the low hum of marine life. But here, all sound abruptly stopped. Divers tapped their gear together and heard nothing. Communication through underwater radios failed without explanation. Sonar pulses sent toward the pit were swallowed entirely. No echoes. No signal returns. Just an eerie nothingness, as if the pit had swallowed the very concept of noise. This phenomenon wasn't just subjective. Scientists who later investigated with sensitive hydrophones and echo sounders confirmed it within a specific radius of the pit. Sound waves were being absorbed or diffused so completely that nothing reflected back. It's like the ocean itself holds its breath. One diver described, "You don't realize how much you rely on sound until it's gone." Ever since the phenomenon was first reported, scientists have tried to explain it through natural causes. Some suggest it might be a rare acoustic shadow effect, created by the unusual shape of the seafloor that bends sound waves away from their source. However, this idea was quickly dismissed, as the effect is far too consistent, distinct, and intense, well beyond what normal seafloor topography could produce. Another theory proposes that the pit contains a highly dense layer of water, formed by a unique combination of salinity, temperature, and pressure. This layer might bend sound waves downward, preventing them from reflecting back, causing sound to seemingly vanish. Some researchers also point to the possible presence of microscopic gas bubbles within the pit, millions of natural sound dampeners that scatter acoustic waves in all directions, completely eliminating echoes. But all of these remain theories. No one has yet explained why even powerful sonar pulses from research vessels disappear without a trace, as if they've been thrown into another dimension. Sonar devices widely used as the standard tools for mapping the ocean floor operate based on the principle of sound reflection. From submarines to marine researchers to treasure hunters, all rely on sound waves bouncing off objects to reveal underwater structures. But in this strange pit, sonar waves vanish completely. No echoes, no returns. The pulses are fired into the depths and never come back. Regardless of frequency, equipment, or signal strength, to measurement instruments, this area doesn't resemble a normal deep-sea hole. It resembles a void in the fabric of the ocean, where sound is devoured as if it never existed. Even high-end active sonar systems used by naval forces fail to penetrate the region. Worse yet, recording devices brought near the pit often return with blank data. Not distorted, not corrupted, just empty, as if the seawater itself refuses to carry sound. This bizarre phenomenon has left acoustic physicists deeply puzzled, raising a chilling question. Is this a naturally occurring anechoic zone? Or is there an unknown force at work, one that defies the very laws of physics we thought we understood? When faced with a phenomenon this bizarre, science is forced to propose theories whether logical or bordering on the fantastical. And it is precisely this difficulty in explanation that has opened the door to a range of speculations, from geological causes to concepts far beyond current human understanding. One of the most frequently mentioned ideas is that this might be an ancient blue hole, similar to the famous sinkholes like the Great Blue Hole in Belize. These are usually remnants of collapsed limestone cave systems beneath the sea, and they can create unusual echo effects. However, no known blue hole has ever demonstrated the ability to erase sound completely as observed in this location. As such, this theory seems to only partially address the phenomenon. Another approach suggests the pit may contain a highly stratified water layer, made up of salt water, fresh water, and trapped gas pockets, creating a structure capable of absorbing or diffusing sound with surprising efficiency. Yet, nowhere else on Earth has such a structure ever been recorded with this level of total sound absorption. Some scientists have also proposed a strong thermocline effect, a drastic change in water temperature with depth that can bend or deflect sound waves. But even in the planet's deepest trenches, sound still reflects to some extent. Nowhere else causes complete signal loss. A more controversial idea involves natural electromagnetic interference, where a strong magnetic field might disrupt recording equipment, throw off compass readings, and possibly cause sound waves to vanish. Although no clear electromagnetic field has been detected, many divers report their compasses acting erratically when near the pit. And finally, there are the more fringe theories: concealed technology, space-time portals, or localized distortions in physical reality itself. While there is no solid evidence for any of these, the very fact that this location seems to defy known physical laws keeps such ideas alive. Because perhaps science isn't wrong, it's just not ready yet. Beyond the technical mystery lies something deeper, something emotional. Divers who venture near the pit speak of a kind of psychological unease. The silence feels unnatural, pressing, watching, alive. Without the familiar hum of the ocean, without bubbles crackling, or the echo of your own movements, the human brain begins to panic. In zero sound, even your own heartbeat sounds foreign. Many divers report sudden spikes in anxiety or the sense that something is about to happen. In a world where we've mapped the oceans with satellites and pierced the darkness with submarines, this one spot remains impenetrable, not because it's too deep or too dark, but because it's too quiet. One particularly strange detail: marine life avoids the pit. While fish, coral, and crustaceans thrive nearby, the waters immediately surrounding the hole are empty. No schools of fish, no signs of bottom dwellers, just a stillness that seems out of place in such a vibrant sea. Could animals sense something we cannot? Could the extreme acoustic silence act as a deterrent or a signal? It raises an uncomfortable question. If sound disappears here, what else could disappear with it? Several expeditions have attempted to send drones or remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, into the hole. Most return with limited footage and corrupted audio. In 2018, one ROV lost contact entirely just seconds after entering the pit. No wreckage was found, no signal recovered. To this day, no one knows how deep the black hole of the Caribbean truly is. Satellite imaging offers little, and the lack of sonar return makes depth mapping impossible. It's a void, a gap, a question mark on the ocean floor. We are used to exploring the unknown through sound. Whether it's sonar scanning the Mariana Trench or whales communicating across oceans, sound is our window into the deep. But in this one place, that window slams shut. No echo, no murmur, no voice, just a stillness that swallows sound and, perhaps, the truth. So what is the black hole of the Caribbean? A quirk of geology, a rare acoustic anomaly, or something far stranger, hiding just beneath the waves, until someone finds a way to send sound through silence. This mystery will remain unanswered. But one thing is certain, in the Caribbean, there's a place where even your scream won't come back. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's oceans, in places where sunlight never reaches and pressures would crush most life forms, there exists a creature so bizarre, so hauntingly specialized, that even marine biologists had trouble believing it was real when they first discovered it. This creature doesn't hunt, doesn't move fast, and doesn't even have a mouth or stomach. Instead, it waits. Or more accurately, it seems to emerge from nowhere, like a ghostly response to death. Meet the Osedax worm, also known as the bone-eating worm. Its name, from Latin, literally means bone devourer, and the title is well-earned. These small, flower-like worms live at extreme depths, often over a kilometer below the ocean's surface, and their sole purpose appears to be consuming the bones of dead animals that fall to the sea floor. But what makes them truly disturbing isn't just what they eat, or how they eat, it's how they appear, seemingly out of the blue. Just when death descends, what do you think about this bizarre creature? If there's a life form with no mouth, no stomach, no need to hunt, that simply waits for death to come before it springs to life, what does that say about life in the deep ocean, or even beyond Earth? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to know, do you find Osedax terrifying, fascinating, or something else entirely? The deep sea is a place of patience. Resources are scarce, energy is limited, and most creatures must adapt to a life of waiting. But Osedax has taken this to an evolutionary extreme. For years, marine researchers deploying remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, would stumble upon whale carcasses or what remained of them on the ocean floor. They noticed something odd, strange tufts of red, flower-like structures sprouting from the bones. At first glance, they looked like deep-sea plants, or perhaps soft corals. But closer inspection revealed them to be living animals, worms anchored directly into bone. Even more curious, there were no signs of these worms before the carcass arrived. A previously barren seabed, free of Osedax, would be transformed within days into a teeming field of bone-eating worms. To observers, it looked like these creatures had materialized from thin water, summoned by death. The illusion was so complete that many scientists initially speculated they might drift in from elsewhere, or lie dormant in invisible numbers, waiting for a signal. And in a sense, they were right. What we now know is even more unsettling. Osedax doesn't swim in from afar, nor does it patrol the seafloor like a scavenger. Instead, it lies hidden, invisible, dormant, and already there, embedded in the mud, or existing in the form of microscopic larvae drifting silently in the water column. These larvae can remain suspended for days, even weeks, waiting for chemical signals. And when a carcass falls, a whale, a sea turtle, even a seabird, the bones begin to leach nutrients and fats into the surrounding water. It is this chemical wake, this scent of death, that awakens the Osedax swarm. Within 24 to 48 hours, hundreds of worms begin to bloom on the bones. Like fungi on a decaying log, they don't crawl. They don't move toward the food. They simply appear, bursting from dormancy as if resurrected. A graveyard is turned into a garden of worms. There is something almost mythological about Osedax. It evokes ancient legends of creatures that feed on corpses, that sleep beneath the earth until called forth. But this is no fiction, it is biology at its strangest. And what makes it even more chilling is that we still don't fully understand how the worms coordinate this appearance. Are they always present in low numbers, hiding in the sediment? Do they arrive as larvae riding unseen currents? Do they bloom from eggs buried decades earlier? What we do know is that their appearance is a biological sleight of hand, an illusion of suddenness, made possible by how little we can see in the abyssal depths. In this silent world, where a whale fall can nourish ecosystems for years, Osedax is the final stage of decomposition, the species that eats what even scavengers leave behind. Once attached to bone, Osedax uses a method of feeding unlike any other. It has no mouth, no gut, and no digestive system in the traditional sense. Instead, its body sends out root-like tendrils into the bone's porous interior. These roots are packed with symbiotic bacteria, which break down fat and collagen, the rich remnants left inside the skeleton. The worms absorb the nutrients through their tissues, slowly consuming the bone from within. It is not a fast process, but it is efficient. In time, a full whale skeleton can be reduced to nothing but dust. Its last biological gift, fully harvested by worms that are neither hunters nor scavengers, but fungus-like architects of decay. The Osedax life cycle is no less strange than its appearance. The visible worms, those red plumes you see on bones, are all females. The males, however, are microscopic and live inside the bodies of the females, sometimes by the hundreds. They serve only one purpose: to fertilize eggs. It's a reversal of traditional biology. The females are huge, relatively speaking, active, and resource-consuming. The males are tiny, invisible, and live entirely dependent on their mate. It's a system that works perfectly in a world where mates may be scarce, and food even more so. As Osedax became better known, paleontologists began to ask a disturbing question. What happens to bones that fall to the seafloor today? Could Osedax be silently erasing the fossil record? The answer appears to be yes, at least in some environments. Fossils form when bones are buried quickly and preserved under layers of sediment. But if Osedax colonizes a skeleton before that can happen, it may destroy the evidence entirely, breaking down material long before fossilization can occur. In this way, Osedax is not only a decomposer, it is an editor of history, one that decides which bones will survive to be found millions of years later, and which will vanish into biochemical mist. What makes Osedax especially fascinating to astrobiologists is how it thrives in a world without light, under crushing pressure, with almost no energy input from the sun. It lives off the dead, surviving through chemistry and symbiosis, not photosynthesis or predation. In every way, it defies what we expect of life. If creatures like Osedax can thrive at the bottom of Earth's oceans, could similar organisms exist on Europa or Enceladus, moons with oceans beneath icy crusts? If alien life exists, it may look less like E.T. and more like a ghostly, mouthless worm that appears only when death arrives. In the end, the Osedax worm is a symbol of the deep ocean's greatest truth, that life and death are not opposites. They are parts of the same hidden system. And sometimes it is only when death falls silently to the bottom of the sea that some of Earth's strangest creatures finally come to life. Deep beneath the ocean's surface, beyond the reach of sunlight, beneath crushing pressures, and amidst scalding hydrothermal vents, something strange is happening. In these remote and hostile environments, where few human eyes have ever seen, and where even the most resilient submersibles falter, researchers have encountered what can only be described as spirals of living light. These slow, elegant coils of bioluminescence drift or twist above the hydrothermal chimneys, sometimes lasting seconds, sometimes holding their form for minutes at a time. They are mesmerizing, but more importantly, they are unexplainable. What do you think is truly creating these spirals of light? Could it be a signal from an undiscovered life form, a strange physical phenomenon, or perhaps something that goes beyond our current understanding of nature? Share your theories or thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. At first glance, one might assume that these spirals are the work of known bioluminescent organisms, perhaps a school of jellyfish, planktonic blooms, or deep-sea shrimp. But the truth is far more baffling. Multiple missions, including those equipped with ultra-sensitive infrared and low-light cameras, have confirmed the same thing. No visible organism appears to be responsible for the light. There are no identifiable bodies, no trails, no movement of fins or appendages. Nothing. Imagine watching a firework go off, but there's no firework. Just the color, motion, and brightness, suspended mid-water, curling and glowing and then fading. This simple fact alone violates almost every principle of biological light production known to science. Every bioluminescent creature we've ever catalogued has a structure, a body, a mechanism, a context. But these spirals exist outside all of that. Their shapes are too perfect, their symmetry too consistent, and their vanishing too clean to be random. Marine biologists from international teams have deployed a range of sensors to try and detect any trace of biological material, DNA residue, thermal fluctuations, even electromagnetic changes, but all attempts have come back inconclusive. It's not just that we don't see a source, it's that we can't find any evidence there ever was one. The question naturally arises, are we witnessing a biological phenomenon? Or something else entirely? Could this be a new kind of natural light emission? A kind that doesn't come from a creature, but from a reaction, a field, or even an unknown geological interaction? Some have even speculated about deep-sea plasma-like effects, where chemical gradients and mineral-laden superheated water create temporary glowing structures under just the right conditions. But if that were the case, why the spiral? Why motion? Why the strange persistence of pattern? No current hypothesis satisfies all the observed facts. Biological origin. No organism detected. Chemical reaction. But with that symmetry, magnetic phenomena. No magnetometer data shows any meaningful anomaly during the events. And if this were a trick of the light, say, caused by particles reflecting submersible lights, then why do they only show up in low light, near infrared wavelengths? Why do they cease to appear when traditional light sources are turned on? One chilling possibility, raised by a team from the University of Tokyo, was this. What if the source is so alien to our understanding of life that our instruments don't know what to look for? If these spirals are the byproduct of a life form not based on carbon, or even not composed of matter in a form we expect, then all our usual detection methods would fail. To us, it would appear as a ghost, a pattern of movement, a flash of color, but no entity. That is precisely what these spirals resemble. Ghosts of light. There's an even more tantalizing idea that's beginning to gain cautious traction. What if we are not seeing a light source, but a message? The spiral formation, the uniformity, the rotation. Could it be a biological Morse code? An evolutionary adaptation for communication in the darkest places on Earth? Perhaps between colonies of unseen microbes, or between something far, far larger. Some deep-sea organisms already use bioluminescent signaling to attract mates, confuse predators, or warn others, but nothing we know constructs patterns of this size, complexity, and duration without a visible agent. It's like seeing a lighthouse beam with no lighthouse. Who is blinking the signal? Who is watching? It's also no coincidence that these phenomena are observed near hydrothermal vents. These environments are hotbeds of extremophile life organisms that don't just survive, but thrive in boiling temperatures, crushing pressure, and total darkness. They often rely not on sunlight, but on chemosynthesis, deriving energy from chemicals like hydrogen sulfide. Emitted by the vents, could the spirals be tied to microbial colonies living in the mineral-rich plumes? Perhaps they act collectively, in synchronized waves, to emit light as a form of group response or adaptive camouflage. The idea of a distributed intelligence, where no one creature is in control. But the pattern arises from coordination is being taken more seriously. And yet, even microbial theories fall short. If it were bacteria or archaea glowing together, we would expect massive DNA traces in water samples. We would find optical density variations, or changes in particulate drift. We don't. The ocean remains quiet, except for the light. The spirals do not appear on standard cameras. Only ultra-low light and sometimes near-infrared imaging can see them. Even then, they appear suddenly and vanish cleanly, leaving no lingering glow or visible disturbance. This makes them incredibly hard to study. One 2023 expedition managed to capture only 7 seconds of footage after 9 hours of scanning a vent system. And that 7-second clip, it's still being analyzed frame by frame. In many ways, the bioluminescent spirals near hydrothermal vents are a reminder of how little we truly know about Earth's deep oceans. While space exploration dominates headlines, less than 20% of our ocean floor has been mapped in high resolution, and fewer than 5% of hydrothermal vent systems have been physically explored. These glowing spirals are not just a curiosity, they are a scientific anomaly. They challenge our definitions of life, of energy, of biological structure. They confront us with the possibility that not everything living must be seen, that some things exist only at the edge of detection, that the dark still holds secrets, and perhaps that light itself is a language we have not yet learned to read. In the frigid waters of the South Pacific and Southern Ocean, where silence dominates and only the cries of seabirds interrupt the monotony of waves, a legend has emerged, one that refuses to die. It is not a tale from centuries past, but a mystery of the modern age, a creature that, to some, resembles a human, yet moves like a whale, and whose very existence defies categorization. They call it the ningen, a Japanese word that simply means human. But what it represents is anything but ordinary. Descriptions vary from source to source, but one detail is almost always consistent: a giant, pale, humanoid figure gliding through the dark Antarctic waters, often seen at night, often vanishing before observers can react. According to the earliest reports, many allegedly coming from Japanese whalers and research vessels operating near Antarctica, this massive being measures 20 to 30 meters long, boasts a smooth white body, and features limbs resembling human arms and legs, a blank, human-like face, and sometimes a long, mermaid-like tail. To those who claim to have seen it, the Ningen is not simply a creature, it is an experience. Witnesses describe a chilling, almost dreamlike encounter, a pale shape surfacing beside the ship in the dead of night, massive yet eerily silent, drifting with the waves. Some say its face stares back. Others believe it merely watches from beneath the surface before disappearing without a trace. A few claim to have captured photos or videos, but these alleged images are universally blurry, low resolution, or inconclusive. Further adding to the mystery, the story of the Ningen didn't begin in folklore. It surfaced in online forums, particularly on Japan's infamous image board 2channel, during the early 2000s. One now famous post detailed the crew of a whale research ship spotting a bizarre white shape in the distance. At first, they thought it was a submarine or a giant iceberg. But as it drew closer, they saw a form far too organic, too uncannily humanoid. It moved with a fluid, deliberate grace. Some even said it blinked. Since then, the internet has done what it does best, taken a strange and unconfirmed story and turned it into a full-blown cryptid phenomenon. Dozens of speculative illustrations began to circulate online, some depicting the Ningen as a massive aquatic humanoid with blank eyes, others portraying it as a ghostly mer creature with elongated limbs and no discernible mouth. Videos emerged on YouTube, often dark and ambiguous. Documentaries and speculative shows in Japan even referenced it in the context of deep-sea anomalies. But here's where the mystery turns cold. Despite the growing number of alleged sightings, the Ningen has zero scientific documentation, not a single peer-reviewed article, no verifiable photograph, no remains, no sonar readings, nothing. This is where the story of the Ningen takes on a peculiar status. It is not merely a cryptid, it is a creature entirely sustained by belief, by the collective will of those who want it to exist. In the realm of cryptozoology, even creatures like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster boast some form of evidence. However questionable plaster casts, sonar scans, even controlled camera setups. But the Ningen, every claimed sighting exists only as anecdote. Scientists who have examined the claims often suggest rational explanations. They propose that what witnesses saw could have been a beluga whale seen from an unusual angle, or a giant ray, or even an iceberg shaped like a humanoid figure, distorted by fog, darkness, and expectation. Some suspect the blurry videos to be deliberate hoaxes, while others view the creature as a psychological construct, similar to Slender Man or other modern folklore, born not from a place of truth, but from shared imagination and the eerie, lonely experience of the sea. And yet, the reports continue. Part of the answer lies in the environment itself. The Antarctic waters are among the least explored regions on Earth, with freezing temperatures, unpredictable currents, and near-total darkness during the long polar night. These oceans are a breeding ground for misidentification and myth. When you combine the human tendency to see faces and patterns where none exist, a phenomenon known as pareidolia, with the psychological effects of fatigue, isolation, and fear experienced on long sea voyages. It's easy to understand how something like the Ningen could emerge and persist. Additionally, the mystique of government secrecy plays a role. Some internet rumors claim that the Japanese government is actively suppressing information about the Ningen to avoid public panic or protect secret research. These claims, of course, are entirely unproven, but in the age of digital skepticism, that only makes them more tantalizing. The lack of evidence becomes the evidence. The silence is seen as a cover-up. Whether real or imagined, the Ningen has undeniably become a pop culture entity. It has appeared in manga, fan art, speculative documentaries, creepypasta, horror stories, and even video games. For many, the Ningen represents more than a cryptid. It's a symbol of the unknown that still lingers beneath our supposedly well-mapped world. A reminder that the ocean, despite satellites and sonar, still hides secrets, still inspires awe and fear. It's also become a canvas. Artists portray the Ningen in wildly different ways, some as a tragic, misunderstood giant, others as a blank-eyed predator lurking in the deep. These interpretations reveal more about us than about the creature, our fears of being watched, our loneliness, our yearning for mystery in an increasingly explained world. When you strip away the fog, the viral videos, and the eerie music layered over grainy footage, what's left? A mystery with no data, a story with no anchor, and perhaps that is its power. The Ningen is not just a creature, it's a reflection of human uncertainty, of our endless craving to believe that somewhere, in the cold places we dare not go, something waits, something enormous, silent, and almost human. What do you think the Ningen really is? A lost species? A mass delusion? Or something even stranger? Do you believe the Japanese government might be hiding something? Why haven't we seen any clear proof? Could that be intentional? If Ningen is real, what kind of creature could it be? Is it a relic of the Ice Age? A giant evolved amphibian? Or a being we simply can't classify? Have you ever seen or heard of something similar while out at sea or in dreams? Drop your thoughts, theories, or even wild ideas in the comments below. This mystery is far from over, and your insight might change everything.